Hi, I'm Sandra.
Hi, I'm Triffany, and we're friends. Every time we get together, we have these crazy, awesome insights about manifesting, life, synchronicity.
And one day I said, it's too bad we didn't record this because somebody out there could have benefited from hearing this.
And that's how this began.
We never know what we're going to talk about, but when we do and the magic happens, we want to share it with you.
All right, we're live.
Yay!
Hey, Tiffany, how you doing?
I'm good, Sandra. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Did you have a good weekend?
Yeah, it was pretty mellow, which was nice. It was restorative because now I'm watching my yard. I've got dandelions to pick and some dry spots to fix and repair, and I'm starting to look at the season of yard work on the weekend. So it was nice to be able to see that, I could kind of have a restorative weekend, which was good. How about you?
My weekend was actually quite busy, but good busy. I saw one friend Friday night. I saw another friend Saturday night. I spent Sunday with another friend. So it was really good. I really enjoyed it.
Good. It's important to do that, especially as a solopreneur, because I don't know about you, but I have a tendency to sort of like hole up if I'm not careful. I have to be really intentional about getting social stuff on my calendar because it's not good to just be a hermit 100% of the time.
And that's kind of how I was feeling. I was feeling like, when just staying at home and not talking to anybody became like a really something I was looking forward to. I was like, I got a problem.
It's true. Well, the upside is, less drama. You know what to expect. You like yourself. That's the upside. The downside is you forget how to talk to people. You forget there's anything going on in the world. That's the downside.
Yeah, well, actually, I think I'm kind of a different type of solopreneur because my solopreneurship has been about constantly talking to people. So I kind of felt like being a hermit was my break from talking to people. And so it was good in the one hand that it was rejuvenative, but it was not so good because I wasn't connecting with people on a social level. I was always connecting with people on a professional level.
Yeah.
So that's for me why the hermit thing has to be balanced. I still have to keep a certain amount of hermit life,
Yes.
but certainly not make it 100% as it was the direction that it was going in.
I totally get that. I was just explaining that to my cousin this morning. We had a phone call. He lives out in San Francisco, and I was saying, I talk to people all day long, but it's for them, right? Like I'm in a special space. I'm holding an energetic place. It is specifically for them to be able to receive what they need to receive in the moment. And I I was going to say want, desire, feel like, but no, I actually need something that comes back so that there's that reciprocity in the cycle. And that's not to say that I don't get when I give either, right? Like but it's different. It's a whole different energy. And it's really important to understand where you're at. First of all, what you need and where you're at and filling up that battery. Where are you? Are you on empty, and what do you need to refill that? Sometimes it is being quiet by yourself, not talking to anybody. But if that becomes the habit, if that becomes the default, then you're missing some other side of your fueling system, especially for me, because I'm an ambivert, but I lean on the extrovert side. And I really do get something out of that social aspect that I don't get. I can't manufacture that on my own. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So good. I'm glad to hear it. Good weekend.
Yeah. I did get gosh, I never know what to call it when I get like a strong intuition. And I actually had a strong intuition to do a muscle testing video.
Hey, good thinking.
Well, there are muscle testing videos out there, and I've referred people, to that so that they already know how to self muscle test when I work with them. But it might have been what we were talking about last week, that the true difference comes in the details. And when something works for one person or a group of people and it doesn't work for you, it's always because there's some key detail that seems unimportant, that is not being addressed. And I've seen that in a lot of different areas where it just seems like people are successful using one marketing technique or something like that. You know, because you see the trends in marketing. People are like, oh, you got to go on Facebook, you got to do Facebook ads, you got to do Google ads, you got to do, and you see people who are just being really successful at it, and then other people who are not. And it's kind of like, okay, well, what's the difference here? Because at a glance, it doesn't seem like these two groups are doing anything different.
Right.
But you've got to dig down and see what the details are. And whenever I've had to teach somebody anything, you know, whether it's stress management, with stress management, it really is about the details. I mean, there's so many different, you know, in terms of the diaphragmatic breathing or the progressive muscle relaxation, there are a lot of little details that, if they get tweaked just right for that person, make a huge difference all of a sudden in their ability to benefit from it. And so I just started thinking, I was like, well, I'm not gonna talk about so much focus on here are the different ways to muscle test, because there are other videos that do that. I'm thinking more about talking more about the details of muscle testing, so that people who are having a hard time doing self-muscle testing can be more successful at it. So that I haven't gone around to doing it yet. I plan to. I just feel like, I don't know about you, is it just me, but I feel like there's hardly any time anymore. Like, I'm trying to get as much done as I used to, but I can't seem to. Maybe I'm in a weird energetic space and I need to step out. But I feel like, you know, I mean, I have somebody, you know, right after, you know, this show, and then I got to go pick up the kids from school, and I'm just like, I had a list of things I intended to accomplish today, and I think I got one done. How's that possible?
Right. I have dips in my time like that where I get what you're saying. It just could be a part of your energetic cycle or something. I think there is a time when we start getting nudged to, I don't know if it's work with more presence, work more slowly, because it's not even a conscious thing. Like you said, you're still working. It's just somehow it doesn't all get done, right? Like, but I feel like that's just a natural part of the cycle, because I do that. I'm not in one of those right now, but I get what you're saying. And I'll give you a term for when you receive that intuition. I call it an intuitive hit. I'll say that I got an intuitive hit to do this or that, and that's give you a term for that.
Yes. Yeah.
I want to talk about what you're talking about in the details, though, because I think this answers a big question that people have about why does Course in Miracles work for some people and not for others? Why does a law of attraction work for some people, not others? You know, when I was trading currencies, I talked a lot about how the basics of a trade are the same. The basics of reading candlesticks are the same. The basics of understanding the financial markets, they don't change that much. And if you haven't figured out your secret recipe, if you haven't put in the time to understand where you're at. Now, for me in the trading world, it was helping people understand when they got afraid to take a trade, or when they got greedy in a trade, or when they got so scared that they lost track of their rules in their trade, you know. And it really became about creating enough opportunities to dig in and do it in order for them to learn not only the circumstances that changed the way they traded, but what changed inside when they traded. And here's what I think we've lost track of, is that whether it's muscle testing or trading or cooking dinner or whatever, everything comes with this opportunity to learn something about ourselves. It's not about cooking a new recipe. It's not about learning to muscle test. It's about this tuning in process and saying, okay, if it's cooking, how does my stove work? How does it work in the summertime versus the wintertime? How does it work versus the gas one that I used to use? How does it work at high altitude? How does it work when I'm tired and I'm not watching and stirring the pot the entire time? Like, it's about finding all of these little things that are different and the physical thing, but there's also that answering that question about where am I in this? How present am I to the process? What's different in my taste buds? If you know, everything tastes different when you're when you have a cold, or when your hormonal cycle is different, and that's true for men or women, things change for us, and we stop asking the question about what's different in me, what's the same in me, how do I tune into this? And I think the more we have worked on this distractions challenge, the more we've worked in this Course in Miracles, the more conversations like this we have, the more I'm realizing, and something I've always known, but it's a deeper truth for me, that those changes, those details that matter, they are only accomplished by this tuning in process. They're only accomplished by really getting in touch with how you respond to time, productivity, temperature, taste, whatever, because that ends up being the detail that you're talking about that changes whether or not it works for you. Notice this in my marketing. You know, I took this on as a marketing challenge. I'm not doing anything ostensibly different. If you're looking at my business, it doesn't look that different than the first time that I said, I'm going to create a digital funnel and I'm going to take out a Twitter ad and it doesn't look that different, but the results are profoundly different because I'm different. My energy is different around marketing. My energy is different about my business. I'm not feeling like I'm running out of time. I don't feel that frazzled thing right now. I might tomorrow, but right now I don't, right? And that translates into everything we're putting out into the world. And that becomes that intangible thing that people go, I don't know why this is a yes over the last 20 times I've seen her ad, but it's a yes. And today I click yes. They can't describe it. They don't really know. And that's it. How do you describe that to people who haven't tuned into the details of muscle testing, cooking, their life, their parenting, their sleep cycles, any of it, right? Like, how do you explain? So I guess I'm asking you, I really genuinely am asking you, when you would start talking about these details, how do you do that? How do you express that nuance?
Well, for me, I'm hearing did you hear me? Did you hear an echo?
I don't think so.
Okay, it's just on my end.
Okay.
Weird. Okay. For me, the details are easy to see.
That's good.
And yes. And so, you know, for stress management techniques, it's basically, you know, I see when people have told me, oh yeah, I've heard about, you know, my doctor, whoever showed me, you know, how to do diaphragmatic breathing or progressive muscle relaxation. And I'll say, you know, well, what did they tell you about it? And they talked about the main points, but it's the littler points that make the difference, and that was missing for them. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's about clearly explaining all of the points to doing something, and realizing that the little points that may seem insignificant are the significant parts of it, because the bigger points anybody can do, right? Like, you know, with a Google ad, anybody can pay for a Google ad, but then, you know, if you can tell somebody the details about how you're, you know, how to write the title and how to write the subtitle and, you know, what kind of images to use, blah, blah, blah. I'm not an expert on the Google stuff, but for example, for progressive muscle relaxation, one of the biggest things that people don't get told about progressive muscle relaxation is that you don't need to squeeze your muscles very tight. You're only squeezing them just enough to notice. Because otherwise, if you're squeezing them tight, you're totally missing the point. I mean, everybody's going to notice your muscles when they're tight and they're in pain. But the point is, you want to notice it far sooner than that. And how are you going to do that if you don't just squeeze as you know, lightly as possible? So that was one of the difference that one of the details that made a big difference for people in terms of doing progressive muscle relaxation and helping them, you know, get over insomnia faster. So for the muscle testing, so I just started writing notes of things that just came to my mind about, you know, muscle testing in terms of helping people be able to do that better on their own, in terms of things like zipping up their field and facing north and things like that that don't always get put into these videos, in terms of helping people tune into the magnetic field of the earth in order to make it easier to tell the yes signals from the no signals?
Well, I think that'll be pretty readily received. I think that's a really good idea because people understand instructions when it's about their physical world, when it's about the to-do list. If you tell them, okay, now you know the basics, here's something else you can do that is more specific, I think people will be pretty receptive to that. You and I actually are kind of, I didn't mean to completely derail the point of what you were saying, because I did take it somewhere else. Like to me, the details are always this nebulous, energetic something that needs to shift inside before any of those outward things make a difference at all, you know, or being so present to doing those outside things that you begin to notice what's shifting on the inside. But I've really noticed, for me personally and for my clients, nothing changes on the outside until you can connect to it from that energetic place on the inside. And I really feel like that's what has people stuck in anything they're trying to do, anything they're trying to get better at, is this dissonance, this lack of congruence between who they are and what they do, their inner lives and their outer lives, right? Their limited mind and their expansive mind. And when those things are out of sync, it's like trying to, you know, get gears to work when you're missing teeth. It just, you're going to keep, you might make a little progress, but you're going to keep skipping and being hard, and you're not going to get that nice, smooth movement forward. So I think what you're talking about, people will be really receptive to, especially if they've ever watched it somewhere else and it still isn't working for them. I think that's
yeah. But I'm curious, how do you get somebody to be more in tune with their energy shifts? You know, rather than just saying, well, you need to be more in tune with your energy, which some people don't know how to do. So how do you guide somebody on a concrete level to do something that they don't know yet how to do on an energetic level?
My favorite question that I give people all the time is, where am I in this? So, you know, for instance, I was working with a CEO once, and she was trying to get her management. She wanted to take her business from a medium-sized company to a large-sized company. She wanted to get some things in line so she could start talking to investors, kind of scale her business up. And her management team, they had 3 or 4 different views between the 12 of them, or whatever it was that she had, about what direction that they should go. And what she came to me to help her with is getting her management team sort of in place, on the same page, working with her instead of, you know, pushing and pulling at each other. And we had a really long talk about what her ideal management team would look like. How would they work together? How would they work with her? And gave her a bunch of exercises to take to her management team, sort these things out. What's interesting is we had actually even talked about the fact that when she really does say, okay, now things are going to be different, now we're scaling, now we're investing, now we're growing, there were going to be some people on her team that didn't like it, that were going to say, this isn't what I signed on for, I'm not open to this. And when we talked about it in theory, she was like, that's great. Let them self-select, let them get out, and so I can hire somebody that's good for this. And then we go through this process, right? And they did exactly that. There were 2 managers that were just like, nope, not doing it. One of them quit entirely, and one of them just wasn't going to play, right? One of them just was not on board. And in the midst of that frustration that she was experiencing, I thought we were past this. I thought we'd gotten better. She'd forgotten that she'd actually asked for this. She'd forgotten that when times were calm, cool, and collected over here, she was okay with the hardship that was going to come. So the question is, where am I in this? And that can mean, what did I ask for? How is what I asked for being delivered? It can mean, what resources do I have within me to deal with this? It can mean, what do I already have at play with this person or this dynamic or this circumstance that actually works, that I can benefit from, right? But where am I in this? Where did my energy insert itself into this situation? And the moment you can answer that question, now you're starting to see how you're steering the ship. You're always steering the ship, but now you get to specifically see how. And that practice of just saying, where am I? Where did I come from? Where am I? Where am I going? It really brings you into the fact that this is perfect. It may be uncomfortable. You may have wished that, you know, everybody would have gotten on board and just said, okay, you bet, we're all scaling this business. But what happened then is every day she'd go to work and she'd start saying, where am I in this? I have asked for this. These are my limitations. These are my requirements. Eventually that second manager actually took a demotion for a little while before quitting. But in that space, she could hire people that now were on with the new agreement. They were fresh energy. It was something, they had done this for another business before. It ended up being a really perfect situation because she didn't get so caught up in the circumstance of people disconnecting from her. What looked like obstinance and an obstacle then became this opportunity because she could see where she showed up. She could see how she presented herself. And for her, it was a daily, and there were some days when it was hourly because the guy that stayed was not her ally, right? Was not her friend. So that's how and we forget. I've had clients too who go, oh, that's right, I forgot to ask that question. I forgot to tune into where I am. And what's amazing is even understanding that at the most basic level. I asked for this. I said I want to change. I said I was prepared for the hard work. Even at the most basic level of that, before you're really tuned into energy at all, the shift that begins to happen is you no longer feel like a victim to your circumstance. So at its most basic level, it looks like personal responsibility, right? But with that practice, with that repetition of that exercise, you begin to say, on day one, when I asked, where am I in this? And I went, oh, this is gonna be a hard day. I know I asked for something painful and here it is. On day 10 of that, it becomes, all right, whatever it's gonna be, it's going to be because I know I'm in charge. I haven't given away my power to my circumstance. And then with the reflection of an objective observer, you get to see your success. That's when I get to say, see, you're tuning in. You're tuning into your energy. That's how it feels when you're tuning into the truth and not the play, not the stage play that's going on in front of you. And now there's a body of proof that says I can tune in. And when I tune in, I'm more successful. And now there's inherent and intrinsic motivation to keep practicing that energetic, not only the shifting, but being present to the shifting. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
How do you do it? Because you do a lot of that same work for your clients.
Yeah, what we do together is slightly different. It's more, they are using their intuition, their natural intuition to start paying attention to some of the self-talk that comes up. And the more they start paying attention, the more they become aware of some really surprising limiting beliefs.
Yes. Oh, they are always a surprise.
Then, right. And so then together we use the processes to, reprogram those subconscious beliefs, and those are no longer there. So really it's just a matter of them listening to their thoughts, the 60,000 thoughts that go through our heads a day.
Yeah, that's a good one too. And then the other one, as we've talked about before, is getting in tune with the body. Because sometimes we can't police the thoughts. We're too tired. We're too out of tune. We're not paying attention. I forgot to ask, where am I in this? But if, that anger is showing up in the shoulders, or the doubt is showing up in the throat or whatever, then you can at least tune into where the energy is and what that message is. And that helps too.
Yeah, no, I totally love that. I totally love that. And I did that yesterday. And I don't think I did it as soon as I probably should have, which is why I'm just in a very low energy today, as if I hadn't had any sleep. But I had a burger yesterday afternoon, and hindsight realized that mentally my brain was like, oh yeah, we love burgers, right? You know me, whenever we go out to eat, I'm like, oh, I can't resist a burger if I see it on the menu. So I had a burger, but my body wasn't going, oh yay, a burger. And halfway through eating the burger, actually after like the first or second bite, I realized this burger doesn't even really taste that great. I mean, it just tastes like, eh. And that was not my memory of my experience with burgers. Like, I love burgers. But this burger was just kind of And then by the time I was like halfway through the burger, want to eat any more of it, you know, which is also unusual. I'm part of the clean plate club, you know, so but like I say about 2/3 of the way in, like my body is very clear. We are done putting this meat into this body, and we're done. And I say I probably should have listened to my body sooner, because yeah, you know, I didn't really feel so hot in the middle of the night, and I feel really low energy today.
Huh.
Like not tired energy. I don't feel tired.
Just low.
I just feel slow.
Yeah.
And kind of what we were talking about before about, you know, the food industry, you know, and how it just kind of like numbs you out.
Yeah.
And after just eating so cleanly for so long, I think I've just become more sensitive to, you know, God, that meat really just made me a little bit more low key, a little bit more, you know, like drugged.
Yeah, that makes sense. It makes sense. Your digestive system probably had to work a little harder to work on, you know, heavy, dense protein that's been fried. And yeah, it makes sense that your body would kind of slog through the process, because you did go for a long time eating super clean, that your body's used to something different. Do you
Yeah.
know that Married with Children with Al Bundy was I think that was the name of the main character, and Christina Applegate played the teenage girl, the blonde.
Yes, I love that show growing up.
There was an episode where Peggy, the wife, brings home this personal.
Oh my God, I can't believe you remember the names.
I know! It's just coming to me because I can't remember. I didn't watch it that much, apparently enough to stick. But there's this episode where she brings home this personal trainer, and she's trying to get everybody to be better and be more healthy. Of course, everybody's fighting her on it, right? And the trainer, for some reason, by the end of the show, begins to sway the dad's way. Like, now he's eating junk, he's drinking beer, he's got his hand down his pants, you know, he's got a little pot belly, he's all manned out in front of the couch, but he's completely sick because he's not used to eating like this. And the dad makes some comment about, yeah, you've got to be a cockroach to live in a world of garbage or something like that. The idea stuck with me that when you really condition your body to eat the garbage and think the garbage and be the garbage, that you do develop a tolerance that makes that your new normal. Like, somebody who is really clean and really active, they're bothered by bad food, no exercise, bad energy, bad thought. They're bothered by that. But when that becomes the normal, you stop even seeing it stops feeling like a burden or a trial or anything that even needs to become to be overcome, right? It looks like I'm doing it, my neighbor's doing it, and boy, this is sure comfortable sitting here with my hand down my pants watching a show, you know? I don't know why, but that was something that stuck with me. And it makes me think, you know, you ate so well for so long. It makes me wonder, was this your normal before you ate clean?
No,
Good.
It wasn't. Because I was super productive. Good. Like the list that I had planned to get done today is probably half the list that I would have gotten done in the past. Like, my normal list would have been double that, and I would have gotten it all done.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't have been a nice, easygoing, pleasant person to be around at the end of it, but I got it done.
That's a big difference right there. Right? Don't talk to me. I got shit to do.
Well, I can't say that my attitude is any better towards the end of the day, knowing I didn't get as much done as I wanted to.
It's so funny. I hang out with women who, you know, at the end of the day, when they're like, I didn't do anything today, you can still, by the time you really ask them, they still got laundry done, they still got food on the table, they still got those emails answered. Like, our version of I didn't do anything today is always like 10 times more productive than
Yes.
anybody else's I didn't do anything today.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Yes, because it's really not that I didn't do anything today. I didn't do what I had put in my mind as significant to do. But like today was crazy hair day at the kids' school. So yesterday, despite everything I had to do yesterday, I still managed to go to the beauty supply store and find some temporary hair color. And amidst all the morning routine, found time to spray paint Nicholas's head purple and to put Simone's hair into 4 sections, these 4 little, they're not necessarily buns, but they look actually kind of like flowers, like these little tight spiral flowers. So she got one here, one here, one here, one here. There's 4 of them. And so then I covered her hair except for the little bun and spray painted those purple. So she's got like 4 purple flowers in her hair, but they're really her hair.
Oh, that's super cute. I love it.
So, and it's hair, crazy hair and or a mustache day. So they also have like mustaches that I drew. They wanted the French style, which is like curls up on the side. And so, yeah. So I did accomplish something.
And big picture, that stuff is way more important. Like big picture, that's going to be a memory that you guys all have forever and ever. Nobody's going to remember exactly what emails you sent out or what busy.
Right, true.
Yeah.
And they are, they went to school happy, happy that they are fully able to participate in Crazy Hair Day because mommy wasn't so focused on work that she didn't have time to, make Crazy Hair Day happen.
Perfect. It's perfect. I love it. Oh, that's good.
Oh my goodness.
Well, I think that's probably a pretty good place to wrap things up. What do you think?
Yes.
All right.
I think so. All right, my dear. Always good to see you.
You too, honey. I love you. Bye.
Love you too.